Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by patrons like Adam DeHarp, Ahika Comics, Architect 10, Blacklist OG, Carlos, Quad, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Rogue Robin, Shawnee P, Some Guy Named Bob, Soda-san, 0424, Saturn23, Video Gamer 75, and Zach Reed. If you like what we do and want to see more, consider supporting Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is time once again to talk about Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. Yes, I'm a little high energy today. Actually, I'm low energy. I'm just projecting high energy really hard, so I feel more energetic. Anyway, as completely predicted, even though there was announcements and stuff earlier this week, there is also the Inferno Squad preview article, because that's coming out soon. And Clamor was last week, just as I predicted. Yeah, it's that, guys. So I pulled this image for them rather than the box image, because it looks cooler. You can see the more stuff. So this is the Inferno Squad pack. It involves one default Imperial Special Forces and one Inferno Squad. Now, there is a note here that technically you cannot do... Woo, I really goofed that one up. You cannot do both units out of the box. I think this is the first time you can't actually use the unit card, both unit cards out of the box that has them. Now, technically, with, like, Strike Forces or something, you have to pick, like, you can only use one of the Special Forces minis if you do so. But with this, apparently the Heavy Weapon Trooper can also be a generic trooper, so that's the only way you have enough guys to do all this if you're using, like, the Inferno Squad version, who is also, I think, the Squad Leader mini, and then the rest. So it's a little weird, a little awkward, but it definitely does some stuff. They look like some nice sculpts. But now that we got all that intro stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and just dive right in to that unit card. Sorry, I had to take a deep breath. Alright, so first off, let us discuss the generic unit, Imperial Special Forces. These guys are 68 points. For 4 minis, you get 1 wound, 2 courage, pretty standard for Special Forces, who aren't, like, big melee beef boys with the 4 units. You do have a red defense, those beloved red saves the Imperials love. You get Surge Hit, another positive, pretty typical of Imperials. Speed 2, your keywords are Infiltrate, Marksman, and Reliable 1. So Marksman, you can spend an aim token to improve the attack results. You can make a blank a hit and a hit a crit, I believe. And you get Reliable 1 at the start of the activation phase. You gain 1 search token. So, before we get into anything, this is weird, and a lot of people have called this out. Just looking at these raw stats. Well, let's also include attacks in that really quick. So they have Unarmed for 1 black and melee, and they have a Special Forces E11, a pretty typical fluffing, where they get a black die E11. It's not the E11D, I'm gonna guess because Lucasfilm wouldn't sign off on that, but they do have a specialized E11, pretty typical, range 1 to 3 black. So, looking at all those together, some people have pointed out that 1, Imperial Special Forces just seems like budget Death Troopers, right? Similar unit counts, similar attacks, however they, and same wounds and courage, red saves, but they don't have surge on defense. By default, they don't have the extra up-close attacks, and they don't have CQC in this form, so their melee is worse. And they don't have, precise or disciplined, right? They have Reliable, Marksman, and Infiltrate. So they do have an effect that which requires aim tokens, but they don't have any aim token generation. And Reliable gives them a Surge token, which since they already have Surge to hit, is... I'm guessing the idea is to give them pocket Surge defense. If they get to activate, they have a Surge token they presumably are going to spend on defense because they already have Surge to hit, so it's weird. I think it's an interesting choice. I think it's a little bit weird, but that's what you're going to use it for, so it makes them a little tankier. But yes, in terms of basic performance, they are definitely Death Troopers, but worse. Though they are, 8 points cheaper. I think it's 8 points. Yeah, it's not quite 10, but 8 points cheaper by default. With some slightly different upgrade slots, they have Heavy Weapon, they have 2 trainings, they have a comms, a gear, and a grenade option. We'll talk about the Heavy Weapons at the end, because there's some stuff with the Inferno Squad version of this. I think the key thing here is that with these guys, we'll have a lot to talk about how you can mesh Inferno Squad with Iden. But with these guys, this is either I couldn't afford a unit of Death Troopers, or I'm not playing Krennic, so I don't get free Death... Well, they're not free, but you know what I mean. You don't get the bonus Death Trooper stuff. So I want more of a budget. Or you're trying to build an Infiltrate team. Because these guys, I think, role-wise, while stat-wise you can compare them to Death Troopers, role-wise, I think these guys are kind of the Imperial version of Pathfinders. They are the guys who are doing the thing. They go infiltrate, they can do some stuff, and so, you can use Marksman to improve attack results, you have Reliable, so if you can activate, or at the start of the activation phase, rather, you can get that surge token. You got a little bit of defensibility, kind of like how Pathfinders have danger sense for a little bit if they've got suppression tokens. They're more aim focused as befits Imperial units, and they've got that harder defense by default. And now that you've got Iden, ISF, and Operative Vader's option to infiltrate, you can build a tiny little infiltrate force. Clones are doing a similar thing with Captain Rex and Scouting Party and ARC Troopers and Scout now that you can, like, well, on like TTS, you can do ARC Trooper stuff already, but already people were using Rex and Scouting Party as kind of an Alpha Strike tactic. So you can do kind of the same thing with this, and if you're trying to build a budget army, like get more activate, well, and you can only bring one Inferno Squad anyway because of unique units, but if you're trying to put more units on the field, a squad of Inferno ISF guys will definitely help give you more. That means that if, assuming you just run ISF, Inferno Squad, Iden, you've got 3 units at Operative Vader, 4 units infiltrating, you've got a very spicy infiltration Alpha Strike package you can put on the board where you need it. But other than that, the primary thing you use these guys for is if you're doing some kind of infiltrate shenanigans, which will be interesting to see because that's a new tool in the toolbox to Imperial players. We'll have to see how they work it, because obviously with Iden and with Operative Vader, you could infiltrate like a commander before, a big one operative, but you know what I mean, a big boy hero type unit. Now you can actually infiltrate your defaults, who will have meshing with Iden because of her powerful command cards. So you can do some interesting things here. What do you want to use those upgrades for? Well, training. There's a couple different options. I would say offensive push is definitely a consideration because they want those aim tokens for reasons. So offensive push is a good option in there. You can go endurance because they don't really have any inherent suppression recovery ability, so you can pull suppression at the end of the turn. I would not recommend duck and cover. They already got red saves with a pocket surge. I would not recommend out situational awareness because they don't really have a good way to get. These guys don't have a good way to get dodge tokens. Thinking about it, yeah, dodging is not a very Imperial thing. You can change that with the new scanners upgrade they're coming out with, but yeah. And the other thing would be that one's Hunter, right? I always get those two confused. But I believe it is Hunter, right? Gonna check the training upgrades. Yes, Hunter, when you attack a wounded trooper unit, you get an aim token. So Hunter is a little expensive at 6 points, but these guys are a bit of a budget option. So you could go with like Hunter on there. And then the other thing is because they can infiltrate and because they have range 3 weapons, Overwatch could be very useful on these guys. Set an Overwatch trap. Drop these guys down. If you can get an activation, have them declare standby. And with Infiltrate, you can deploy beyond range 3, so you can deploy right at range 3 and be like, okay, if you move into this bubble, I'm going to shoot you with these guys. You're going to take 4 black dice and possibly more if I put my heavy weapon guy on here with Surge Hit, So definitely some options there. But in general, I do think they are the softer go-around. For comms, obviously, you can give them long range or any of the usual shit for special forces. HQ uplink, long range, jammer if you're being spicy. They've got a gear upgrade. Well, they can infiltrate, so recon intel means you can do some real shenanigans there. I would say probably, though, Ascension cables is probably the new hotness. Give them an opportunity to scale, possibly. But recon intel is definitely the default there. And if you're trying to do a whatchamacallit, a budgety option, you don't want to go for the full. I don't even remember how much Ascension Cables is, but if you don't want to go for the full price, because there is a few, it is. I should double check. It might be the same price as Environmental Gear, which would be awkward. No, okay, it's 1 point more, so that's not much of a discount. But you could go with that. And since they do like aim tokens, you could go for something like scopes, but I don't think it's really worth it because they probably want to spend those aim tokens just on marksman and just be like, I'm not gonna reroll. I'm just gonna. Though that could be situational. You could choose to reroll dice rather than go for just a straight upgrade, depending on what your dice pools are. But yeah, it's very weird. Grenades, that just depends on your situation. If you can get into that Alpha Strike range, you already have Surge Hit, but Frags is a die and Surge Crit improvement. If you're going to face armor, because these guys don't have a lot of anti-armor potential, impacts are always great. Or you could go blast and just be like, fuck your cover, we're in your zone, we're in your square. So, they're interesting. I think they're a little they have a power level kind of maybe appropriate to their points cost. They're not quite as good as Death Troopers, but they have some interesting opportunities. A lot of it's really going to rely on what Imperial players come up with for that Infiltrate. Let's talk about the full Inferno Squad now. Alright, so if you go for the Inferno Squad version... Sorry, I just started this take and then sneezed, so I had to redo it. So if you go for Inferno Squad, the default cost drops to 34 points, but you only get one unit, the baseline. They now have 2 wounds, 2 courage. Still got Surge Hit, Speed 2. And now they gain a couple of keywords. One, just like Clan Ren, which you should check out that video if you haven't already. It's on this channel. They get Equip Del and Gideon Hask. I shorthanded that a little bit. They keep Infiltrate, Marksman, and Reliable, and they gain Retinue, Iden Versio at the start of the activation phase. If you're within range 1 to 2 of Iden Versio, gain anywhere dodge token. They also have upgraded their attacks a little bit. So they now have the same CQC as Death Troopers, to kind of double down on that comparison. So they are a little spicier in melee, and their blaster rifles now get 1 extra black. Not that you're necessarily going to be using that, but that kind of helps the fact that there's only 1 mini in the default. So, gives you a little bit spicier. Now, obviously, the naked cost of this, because you have to equip 2 upgrades, is now like 110 points. So, is it worth it for the extra black and the red die in melee and the extra health? I'm going to say yee, but only if you're bringing Iden, because if you bring Iden, that really makes this click together. They still have Marksman. We're going to talk about the upgrades in a second. Del has Lethal, so he can spend that aim token another way, and it really just helps them come together, because... And I gotta be honest, other than the fact that Retinue gives them a dodge token, you're almost never gonna use it for that. You're gonna take the Surge and use that as your pocket defense ability, and you're gonna get that sweet aim token so you can activate Marksman or Lethal, whatever you feel you need. Though they do kind of conflict a little. But yeah, I think that's the only reason why you're taking these guys, is you're gonna pair them up with Iden and you're gonna do the Inferno Squad thing. And when you do that, you're gonna have a very spicy Infiltrate attack unit. Iden's very dangerous as an attacker. You're gonna need some backup commanders and stuff, because when she's out there on her own and not the commander anymore, it's a little awkward. But she still has her 3-pip, So there's a lot of spicy, scary things she can do. And these guys are pretty robust health-wise, if you do that. There's not really much else to talk about here, because we'll have to talk about the heavy weapon upgrades in the next slide when we can show them. I just want to mention they've still got the same, combos of training and stuff. Now, because they have Retinue, they do have a way to get dodge tokens. You could consider situational awareness because it's cheap. Like I said, I don't know if I would. I probably would still go Hunter for more aim tokens so that you can Marksman and Lethal if you need to. Hunter's a good one. Endurance is still a decent option, though obviously now that they're 110 points base, that's a little pricey. You can probably skip offensive push because Iden has a lot of ways to give them aims now. Because Tactical Strike... Yes, Tactical Strike does give them TAC 1 and Steady. Well, it gives her and 3 Trooper units TAC 1 and Steady, so it's crazy good. So, yeah, no, you can get plenty of opportunities, so you can broaden out, and you can probably even run these guys naked, just the heavy weapon upgrades, without too much effort, because packaging them with Iden gets them a lot. At worst, you maybe tuck a cheap Ascension cables into the gear, just in case... Or maybe go for, some weapon upgrades. Like, if you're playing a lot of droids in your area, EMP droid pompers are pretty cheap. So it's got some opportunity. There's not too much extra to talk about there without getting into the heavy weapons, which we will in a second. But I think the primary thing you get from running your one squad of Inferno Squads is if you compare them with Iden. If you do that, you're giving Iden a powerful backup unit that's going to bring a lot of pain. So let's not carry this out too much longer. Let's go ahead and talk about the heavy weapon upgrades. Okay, let's round this out by discussing the heavy weapons in context. I believe all of these were spoiled before, but now we know the units they're attached to and kind of how they fit together. So we can kind of see and compare all this stuff. Okay, so for the generic unit, it goes on Imperial Special Forces. You can get the T-21 Special Forces Trooper. Note: Special Forces means the unit named Special Forces with big uppercase letters. If they were talking about the Special Forces unit slot, they would use the symbol like they do on Del and Gideon. They do not. This guy only goes on ISF and not Inferno Squad because of equip stuff. Anyway, you get a T21. It's a T21. Range 1 to 3, 4 white dice, critical 2. 29 points. It's not bad. So you've already got surges to hit, so the critical 2 is really just fishing for crits. It does double your offensive output. You already have surge hit, and you've got a couple of free crits in there, so going from 4 dice to 8 dice at range 3, even if some of those will probably miss, you do have surges already, and you have crit surges too, so you can go fishing, basically. For 29 points, it's not the worst. If you end up, like, running 2 of these units in a big push with Iden, like an Infiltrate mob, I don't see why you wouldn't try, just to maximize your strategy. It's not too flashy, not too not flashy. It's a 221. Pretty typical, does some stuff. So the big ones are Dell and Gideon Hask. So, by the way, I mentioned that because, earlier, that thing about the icon, because Dell and Hask can both also be equipped to a Imperial core unit. Had to struggle for my words there for a second. So they can be attached to a core unit, kind of similar to how 5 is an Echo can be. So that's a pretty cool ability. So we'll start with Dell since he's closer. Dell is 2 wounds at all times, even if he's on a regular Inferno Squad or a core unit. So he's interesting. He is the sniper and technical guy. I like how they kind of combat up both of these. So he has his DLT 19. I think X is the sniper version, but he's got that. So he has 2 black at range 1 to 5. So he's a sniper, which gives him high velocity and lethal 1. So if you're sniping, they can't spend dodge tokens. If they're, like if you're doing a range 4 or 5 snipe, not bad. And it does have lethal, so if you have an aim token, you can gain Pierce 1. Not the worst. And then he also has Repair 2 capacity 1. So he can repair twice. He can repair 2 things once, basically. Which gives him pocket vehicle support options, or helping out droid troopers and whatnot. He's got some interesting ideas. He's got a little bit of stuff. He's 38 points. So overall, I think he's decent because he is a sniper. He does have high velocity if you are sniping, and you can get lethal 1 in the pool if you aren't sniping, or even if you are. Just in general, you can get lethal 1, Keeping in mind that Inferno Squad and Imperial Special Forces also both have marksmen, so you can figure out what you want to spend your aim tokens on, and the ability to add snipers to a default Imperial core unit, like to give, for 38 points, to give shore troopers snipers, or just, snow troopers with steady already snipers, even just core stormtroopers. Dell's very flexible, and that means there's a real opportunity cost because he's unique. You can only stick him one place. You can stick him in a lot of places and do a lot of interesting things. I think you're going to see some Dells on the field just to get that extra sniper die in there. It's a very interesting idea and an interesting combo. The repair, I think, is just a bonus thing. Though if you put him on a core unit, that also means you've got a repair tech in there. Like, you're sacrificing your heavy weapon slot to get a generic sniper and get a repair tech, kind of. It's pretty interesting, bold. And then Hask. He's also 2 wounds. He's range 1 to 3, but he's 2 red dice. He increases your courage by 1, and you gain coordinate core trooper. So if you're issued an order, you can immediately issue an order to a friendly core trooper and leader. So Hask becomes your leader. He gives you coordinate, which is cool. And then he's got a freaking 2 red 1 to 3. He's got a 2 red rifle with 2 wounds, and he's your unit leader. So in Inferno Squad, that's fairly spicy. That means your pool at range 3 is like 4 black dice, 2 red dice with surge hits, with the option for marksman or lethal. And you can coordinate. He can turn core units into, mini officer units while still giving them a fairly decent, even if it's only range 1 to 3, 2 red's not bad for a heavy weapon attack. And you get coordinate out of it. It's pretty interesting. Coordinate's weird. So, obviously, and depending on how you use it, it can be pretty good. But also, you might be infiltrating, and you might not have any core units to coordinate to at range 1. So, you're going to need to kind of pick and choose what you're using Hask for. And you can kind of waste his coordinate ability. Sorry, I yawned there. You can waste his coordinate ability if you're putting him with, like, Iden in the deep down Iden stuff. He can still do a lot, though, just with that 2 red and the courage increase, That means Inferno Squad's friggin' courage 3, right? They're not actually courage 2, they're actually courage 3, which is bananas, yeah. So and that makes total sense. Hask is a madman fanatic, so yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. This is pretty potent. And if you put him on a default core unit, then you have, like, if you just mix in Gideon with one of your guys, you know, probably not sure since they already have coordinate, but, like, mix it in with, like I said, with, like, some snows or some default stormtroopers, suddenly you have coordinate boats coordinating things, and you got a unit that has 2 courage default. Great for objective grabbing. A lot of flexibility. So this is a good pack. The question is just how you're going to use it. Like I said earlier, the default Imperial Special Forces, they're cool, but they're definitely not going to be as impressive as your real big budget option in Imperials with Death Troopers. But you can access Infiltrate, which means you can do some new and interesting things. Try some new plays. If you're running Iden, though, Inferno Squad is a solid addition to her basically her backup dancers. Like, they can do a lot of work with these guys and have a lot of flexibility in their attacks. Though, obviously, like I said, Del and Gideon have, if you're running them that way, Del and Gideon are slightly probably overcosted, because you're not going to, if you're infiltrating in the middle ass of nowhere in an alpha strike, you're probably not going to have an opportunity to repair or coordinate, but you might, who knows? And they still have decent weapons if you don't. Like I said, courage 3, baby. Ooh. But, that's kind of the only thing. Like, I don't know if you can't get retinue, if you'll spring for Inferno Squad. But you don't have to, because you can pocket Del and Gideon right into core units, and do some really interesting things. You can get an extra sniper in there, regardless of where you put Del, you get an extra sniper. Well, actually, no. You are technically losing a sniper, I should say that, yeah. If you, Del lets you, if you put him in either Special Forces variation, you get to keep a sniper while doing another Special Forces unit. If you put him in a core unit, you can get up to 3 sniper, up to, well, technically 5 with Iden, but like I said, you can get extra sniper shot in there. Which can be interesting, especially because he gets to be buried in a core unit full of bodies, unlike strike teams. Though he is pricey. And Gideon gives you a lot of interesting things. There's a lot of interesting tactics open here, but you're going to have to be clever. There's no cut and dried options here. Alright, I won't take up too much more of your time. That's it for the Inferno Squad stuff. Yeah, they come with situational awareness. They're probably going to come with other stuff that's coming in all these packs, blah, blah, blah. Not a big deal. I just kind of wish they'd show spreads so we could guess more. But we can't, so we do what we can with what we got. Like I said, Inferno Squad looks like they're going to add a lot of toolkits to the Empire. I don't know if they're going to be any... Oops, but my mic arm probably going to make a lot of squeaky noise. It's going to add a lot of options, a lot of tactical possibilities. I don't think it's going to necessarily, like, overtake anything, but there's some cool, interesting stuff they got going on in there. I believe Iden's pretty popular in the current times, though it is a little hard to check sometimes. But I believe people were looking forward to using her, and now, like I said, Inferno Squad meshes with her very well. So we'll see how that works out. If I recall correctly, Stap Riders and Republic AT-RTs are supposed to come out at the same time as Clan Ren and Inferno Squad. So probably look forward to the previews to continue into the next week, and we'll see how we do. We do still have some Galactic Civil War units that are apparently going to be announced, but we don't know when, because we don't know when those are going to come out. So, yeah, no, I don't see any real reason to keep this going. We've talked about all the Inferno Squad stuff, all the different options, and that's all there is to it. You guys should be pretty caught up on the news, because they've been posting a lot of it, and I would talk about a lot of it. So, ow, I hurt my hands clapping. It's time to do the outro. Which is to say, hey, if you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, you can leave them in the comment section down below, or hit up our Discord. That link is in the description and on our channel page, as always. You should also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, so you can keep track of our latest Star Wars Legion videos. I've posted like 2 this week, and more stuff. It's cool, and even more stuff I've posted. So much stuff posted. And even if you're already subscribed, considering the bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. I have told everybody, even though we will make no money on it, I am planning on streaming Star Wars Squadrons when it comes out in October. Yeah, no, I think Barinkus, that's everything. Other than to remind you that, like I said at the front of the show, you can support us on Patreon. You could have gotten this episode early, and lots of other stuff. And, yeah, okay, that's everything. See you next time for, well, take your bets now. Let me know in the comments. Is it going to be AT-RT first or Stap Riders? Let me know. Whoop.